Good morning, everyone. I'm going to ride around the world.
I'm Mick Claridge, and I'm going to ride around the world on my bike.
My son, he gave me advice at the start of this ride, and he looked at me and just said, "Dad, don't be a moron."
Let me do my animal signal to gain their respect.
How's it going, Sally?
Yeah, I'm alright, Mick. How's it going?
Worse than that bit in Lord of the Rings where they go into the top and the spider's in the tunnel. I'm just hoping there's a spider at the top of this one to kill me. Freezing.
And I failed. I moroned up the ride.
In 1978, the first year of the Lotus 79, Long Beach was still an early attempt at a U.S. street race, having only had 3 years of racing prior. But the difficulty had already become clear and its reputation was growing. Today, the drivers know exactly what they're in for and have steeled themselves in preparation. But are they truly ready? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 10 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and joining me in the booth is Mick Claridge. Behind the scenes is our director, Ryan Bauer, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Let's check out the GSRC track guide, have a closer look at what makes Long Beach such a difficult street track. Welcome to Long Beach. Nestled into the south side of Los Angeles and running alongside the Pacific Ocean, this street circuit has made the port area world famous. Both Formula One and IndyCar have called this 2-mile, 11-turn circuit home. Winning here has become a prestige worth boasting about among open-wheel pilots. Indeed, the winners list includes the likes of Lauda, Andretti, Unser, Montoya, Power, and many other legendary names in racing. Much like its European sister over in Monaco, it's short, tight, and punishing. But unlike Monte Carlo, this circuit emerged from a rundown piece of California coast to grow into the glamorous location it is today. Down into Turn 1 at the end of Shoreline Drive is where the majority of overtakes tend to be made. But sneaky passes can also pop up in places like 6 on the way into Pine Avenue, or Turn 9 at the end of Seaside Way. There's also 2 distinctive landmarks notorious for causing track blockages. The fountain section, with all its beauty, is a single-file affair save for the first lap. And the hairpin has been a staple here, even though it's changed locations a few times. In fact, that last hairpin not only includes the dangers of getting tangled with another car, but the important nature of getting the best exit you can to keep your rival from having a chance to pass you into the first corner. It feels appropriate that California's signature street track is a hop, skip, and a jump away from the beach. But while others might be trying to attack the surf, our drivers today will be attacking the corners instead. Well, Mick, this is going to be a real test, especially in this car, which is a beastly machine on its own, but you throw it out here. Oh, boy.
Oh, absolutely, Joe. This is unbelievable. This place, iRacing has done such a great job on this track. It used to be a tech track, didn't it? As we all know, before the graphics were painted in, and now it's all finished and lovely, and we can race here and have real good battles here. Look at that front straight, the huge curve there down Sherland Drive into Toyota. It's going to be tough for the guys at the start of this race. Had a couple of free wides, a couple of two wides going into that corner, and then down to the fountain, like the track guide says, Joe. It's hard enough to get one car through there. So let's pray that the guys make it through there. If it's going to be a bad one, especially up the front or in the mid-pack, it's going to be a huge traffic jam there and a lot of mess. We get round to Takati Turn. That's another seriously important turn here, Joe. That apex wall seems to just jump straight out and try and grab that front wheel as you turn in there. Seaside Way, nice overtaking point there as we turn in a Firestone turn, but yeah, as the track guide said, the hairpin, that's a really important corner to get down the straight. It's going to be interesting to see the two guys we've got fighting for the championship today. I think they're going to be using different first gear ratios. Watch the start for that and watch the hairpin. Yuka looks like he's going to be running a nice low first gear, nicely out the hairpin. He was earlier on today in practice. I was watching, but it did hurt him off the grid. So let's just watch out for that.
Going to be interesting, no doubt. And like you said, the championship is staying close. 22 points between Partanen and Tolinen, which means that Tolinen can't just cruise home to victory with second places. He could still be beat by Partanen if he takes every win and takes bonus points. So Viekainen is a bit of a ways back. It's going to be a long shot. He's only had a single victory so far this season. DeTurk and Timothy Reed trying to sort out that fourth place in the points, along with Karilainen and Konecny, only separated by 7 there for the 6th place race. And then a single one between Alex Millward and Karthik Pai, with Dylan Freckleton last of our top 10 in the F1. And new this season, we have the F2 Championship here. Mick?
Yeah, F2's led by Thomas Barfly. He's just had a really strong season. Seen him I think he's had a couple of top 10s this season now, if I remember rightly. So Jack Spigott's there, has got it all to do there. He's 57 points behind. Marco Serrano is in the 3rd spot, 66 behind there. And Marco Flacker. This is all quite close there for 3rd spot, isn't it, Joe? But there's a bit of a jump to Guillermo Diaz there in 98 with 5th spot. Luca Briselli there bringing 6th, Stephen Hobbs in 7th, Cristiano Carani in 8th, Christo Chin Mai in 9th. That's a new name, I think, has jumped up. I've been saying that all season, that these guys are going to be trying to get into the top 10 of this F2 championship. And Nathaniel Porter, I think, is another new name in the 10th spot there.
So a bit of switching around, but as for the race details, it's a short lap around here. So 30 laps in this race. We'll, of course, have an open setup to try and help them find pace out there. I've heard some discussions. It is a hot track today, so it might be a bit of a switch up that drivers will tweak that a little bit at the last second. No spare car to save you, and with the walls so close, that's going to be important, because we could see some drivers having to come in and take some repairs. A drive-through penalty at 17 incidents and a disqualification at 25. Highly unlikely anybody's going to wind up suffering from those, but you never know. We'll keep an eye out. Expect them to be retired before they ever hit a black flag because of those. Speaking of those temperatures, actually, it's cooler than I was led to believe. Only 80 Fahrenheit on the track surface today. So actually pretty good conditions, if you ask me, unless that's just hotter than they've experienced in previous races up to now. But Barry West taking the Ferrari liveried machine around for another lap as we hop on board with Dylan Freckleton, one of a handful that haven't set a time yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a name to look out for today, Michael DeTurk, the custodian of the community, as it were. 2nd spot there for Michael. He's going to love that. He had a bit of a messy qualifying in the last race I watched earlier today, so he's going to be really happy with that. Paulie Parton in 3rd spot there, Joe. He's going to want to get up at front there and be along Yuka, at least for a battle into turn 1 here.
Yeah, so top 3 going to be vying hard for the win for different reasons. Tolinen and Partanen for that championship. DeTurk just to claim another win. In fact, I do believe this is one of the few places he has taken a victory in this series. I need to double check on his stats to see how many he's taken. I think it's 2 or 3 in his history in the CTC during its broadcast. Dylan Freckleton around the Indy left and into the hairpin. Always difficult on a single screen, and he did give a bit of a wide berth around that apex. So let's see what the first lap time is for the number 10. And he puts down a 1:11.1. That's good enough for 12th. We're seeing only 2.3 seconds between the first 17 drivers. With such a short lap, as you'd expect, Mick, it's tight out there.
Yeah, it's really tight. Look at the first 5, Joe. Just a couple of tenths difference there between Tolanen and all the way down to Fernandez. And Jordan Gronkowski's doing well now. He's first season in the 79. Does it the hard way. Doesn't use any driver age. Uses a clutch H pattern. He's found some pace today. I was looking at this earlier on the practice sheets. 5th spot, he'd be really happy with that, and it's great to see. As we're staying on board with Dylan Freckleton now, just watch this is great spot for overtaking now. You get the corner right before you enter this right-hander now as we get down to the brake zone. Really late on the brakes, and you got to take a bit of this curb on the right-hand side as Dylan does. And then we're finishing the lap now. Going to want to bang it down into first gear. Get a nice tight apex on the last turn there. And hard on the power, just trying to stop any wheel spin and any loss of grip on the rear end. Let's see how he does.
Crosses the line again, but this lap gets deleted. He must have brushed the wall somewhere. Interesting. It is possible. We've seen it before, but a little bit rare to have a good lap and have that happen. But that is everybody able to set a time, as there's nobody remaining in this last minute that it is able to put one on the board. So that means our grid is set, and Jukka Tolinen is on the pole. Michael de Turk will start next to him. Again, he's had some good races here before. We'll see if he can repeat that. Pauli Partanen trying to challenge Tolinen for that championship. Will start from 3rd. Sergio Fernandez in P4. You mentioned Gronkowski up in 5th today, only 2 tenths off the pole time. Timothy Vaughn will start from 6th. Gernot Friesche, pretty good for him of his recent seasons to start from 7th. And his strength is usually in the race itself, so maybe he could move his way forward and finally get another win. It's been a long time since we've seen him top the steps. Peter Konesny will be in P8. Kimmo Viekainen starts 9th, and rounding out the top 10, Mick, it is going to be Timothy Reed.
Yeah, really close up front there, isn't it, Joe? Here we go then. So 11th spot, we've got Christopher Dubois, followed by Dylan Freckleton, we just noticed. He actually done a 10.6 there on his second lap, which didn't get counted. 13th spot, Marco Flacker. Thomas Barfay, F2 champion, leading the championship in 14th. 15th is Keith Herner. Javier Mosquera in 16th. Yanni Lehman, good to see him back in 17th. Barry West, the veteran, 18th. Xavier Sanchez, he'll be wanting to move up from 19th. And Danny Gales in top 20.
Then from there, it's Stephen Place and Jason Clapper, the last of your 22-car field out here today. And they are already starting to line up. Now, what's interesting about this championship is that Partanen would need to take at least 4 bonus points over the course of the season, even if he takes every win over Tolinen, and Tolinen finishes 2nd place. And that would put them on a tie, but then that would come down, I believe, to potentially the race wins, and I'll have to try and do the math on that, but maybe a little bit later as they are getting ready to go. And also another side note, I was able to look up Michael de Turk's history. He's got 3 wins to his name over the course of the championship history here today. So can he potentially add a 4th here at Long Beach, where he's known to have some good pace and be able to survive some of the chaos that we tend to see around here. We just have about 5 more drivers that need to grid up, and then we'll be ready to go. 3 rounds remaining here in the Classic Teams Championship, the Sunday Grand Prix Series on the Global SimRacing Channel. Tolinen and Partanen giving it a long time before they put themselves out on the grid. This usually a track that it's not too bad of an idea to start from pit lane, but I wouldn't want to if I'm starting from pole, as you want to try and get that clear air in front of you. So we expect them to put themselves out there, and there they go, just about at the same time. Looks like we've got everybody out there, so the engines now start to rev as the lights come up. and the green flag is out. Ooh, it's a very bad start. Oh, and somebody in the background has to take off to the side. They still get hit, and we have a big incident before we even get down into the first corner. But up at the front, De Turk is looking to try and take the lead off Tolanen, who's down to his inside into Toyota turn, and he almost has it. He's on the inside down into the fountain section. Michael De Turk has the top spot.
Unbelievable start by Michael De Turk there. He just nailed that start off the line there. I was expecting a free wide there, Joe, because I saw Paulie earlier. He was really practicing these starts. I actually think there was a bit of tactics there to keep the cars in the garage as late as possible for the two guys there in the championship. I've often thought about this myself. Does the car lose a bit of tyre temperature sat on the grid for long like that? I don't know if they would have meant to do that. It's just something, I don't know, it's in the back of my mind finding that out officially and see what's going on there. But yeah, great start by Michael. This is just what he needed, isn't it?
Gronkowski holding off Yakainen in the background is De Turk's going to lead them around for the end of the first lap. It's very hard to pass here. Will that track position be key to him taking another victory? Tolanen and Partanen, this could change things up in the championship as well, them finishing second and third instead. Tolanen's got a good run, though, and he's looking fast in a straight line. Big defense from De Turk down to the first corner. Tolanen has to go the long way around, and he's deep on the brakes once again, but he is rebuffed.
Yeah, that was a lovely exit Yuka got from the last corner there, from the hairpin. Just as I was saying, Joe, I think he's using a slightly lower first gear than Paulie anyway. I actually didn't really look at Michael's gear ratios in practice. So, yeah, I know Yuka is running a really super tight line coming out the hairpin as well. And it was really interesting to watch. I'm not sure Paulie's learned off of that, because that's where Yuka's stronger than Paulie today. Definitely coming out the hairpin. Just going to be interesting to see now as they go down again. Look at Michael just moving to the middle of the track now, just trying to break that toe for Yuka to gain off. Michael's going to want to win this. He's going to want to win this. It'll be such a great win if he can get this. Really early stages though. One thing to note, Joe, is back markers. Always watch the back markers. And we see there, Yuka's that really tight line coming off the hairpin. He does gain from that, Joe. I think that's a good move for him to do that today.
So last time Tolanen was able to gain quite a bit, but this time is not nearly as close, and not going to see an attempt down to the first corner. By the way, an update on that opening incident. I've gotten word that was Timothy Vaughn that didn't get going, and there was a couple others that got caught up in it. I think Mosquera and Place, possibly Fernandez and West, but I think they had incidents that were a little bit later on and were not necessarily involved in that. We're watching the battle now between Raccoon Racing's Viekainen and then Gronkowski just in front of him. This is for fourth.
Yeah, just watching Gronkowski. He's doing really well. Comes out that left hand. I like that line he's using there. I'm used to the 49 there, Joe. It's much faster there in the 49 to use a tight line, but the guys in the 79 seem to benefit with a wide line coming out the left-hander there. And then down this back straight again. It'll be always interesting to see how guys are running, what wing they're running, and see how these top speeds are like. But I think everyone's pretty much trimmed out the same this week, Joe. Guys need a bit of wing to have a nice sort of safety belt in the twisty part of this track. It's a nightmare for these guys, isn't it? Especially in these slow corners. But yeah, so we're watching him down the front straight, over the start-finish line again. Just watching Chemo now as he tries to keep up with Jordan, but yeah, he's not going to get anything done there. Jordan's got a nice bit of top speed as they go through turn one into the fountain area.
That gives us a chance to take a glance at what happened at the start of the race. So let's take a watch on Vaughn. What do you think? Just missed the clutch, or what exactly would cause? Oh no, he had to go to the side. The person in front of him didn't go.
Yeah, it looked like the guy. Oh wow, look at that wreck. Oh my God, Joe, it's not even ending. Let's just have a look here and see what happened. Okay, yeah, the guy in front of him got a bunch of wheel spin, and I think Tim just did the same. But yeah, it was just all a big mess there, wasn't it? Load of wheel spin from the guy in front, and look at the cars just ploughing through there, just trying to get anything they can from the rest of the race.
Yeah, trying to see who that was that started in front of him as we come back to the battle between Viekainen and Gronkowski. Mosquera is getting back onto the track himself, so though he looks like he was involved in that opening incident, he was able to at least repair some of the car, and then from there it's going to be trying to recover what he can. And the car in front Let's see. I'm seeing if I can find Vaughn. That's Fernandez. That's Sergio Fernandez, who didn't seem to go anywhere as they took off. So we'll try and investigate that maybe a little bit later, but it's definitely threw a wrench into things as Christophe Dubois gets the rare side-by-side and survives to tell the tale down through the fountain section.
Right, sorry, Joe. I've just literally watched Tim Vaughan. So yeah, he was in avoiding action. Yeah, it was Sergio Fernandez just didn't get away. He got a little bit of wheel spin off the grid, but then seemed to bog down. And all it took was Tim with a bunch of wheel spin just trying to avoid him as he went through, and that was all it was. And what a wreck that ended up being. So yeah, just another thing to note, Joe, that wreck would have caused. I mean, I don't know how many cars are going to be coming out with huge damage, but that's going to play a part later on today, I think.
So Dubois hit the wall there coming into turn one, and that's what set him back and now is causing all this consternation with those behind him. That's Timothy Reed, Xavier Sanchez, Tomas Bartfai, our F2 leader. Contact there.
Oh, he's gone round.
Unfortunately, it's going to cause a secondary contact as Reed plows into the side of Dubois. I'm not sure if him spinning to the side was because of that first hit, Mick, but I'm sure it didn't help.
Yeah, maybe didn't help, but I'm just watching it myself as he goes round. He got a bunch of understeer as he was going round, and it was a net code, and then the car was all unsettled, and he just planted his foot down to try and get it away, and it just span on him like that. So, yeah, I'm not sure if he had a bit of damage from earlier, but yeah, nasty one there.
I got to think here, Mick, because we watch De Turk ahead of Tolanen, but only by about a second, so it's not safe. I have to think with these cars that a very sensitive right foot will pay huge dividends trying to keep the wheel spin away.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It's all about that, especially with, I mean, we haven't touched on it today yet, but this track has got some serious, horrible, smelly bumps in some horrible places, hasn't it, Joe? So, yeah, you really have to nail. It's just all that second gear. I'm not sure if the guys are even using first gear, which, yeah, they will be off the hairpin, so exactly where Christopher was. So, yeah, really tough to get off these corners. Doesn't matter how fast the car is, it's only got so much grip, hasn't it?
So that sent Christophe well down the order. I'm surprised he didn't come into pit lane. He's trying to carry on, but the car is very slow. So looks like it is not in good condition from here. Still watching that battle for the lead out of turn 5. Don't forget Partonen's still there. And while we've been focusing a lot on De Turk, trying to see if he can take this win, Tolanen and Partonen still have that championship to decide. Right now, De Turk actually has the fastest lap. I'm guessing the clean air is helping him that. So he's stealing that bonus point away. But the other bonus points goes to the pole sitter, which goes to Tolanen. So that's 2 extra for him, denying Partonen on that end.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at the guys behind Michael now, I think Yuka's absolutely thinking he needs to get around Michael to put some space between himself and Paulie. And Paulie will be thinking exactly the same thing. He just wants to get in front, just wants enough gap just to get a nice bit of a space in between the points. You know, it's like you were saying at the start, Joe, it's not enough just to get first and seconds here to clinch this. You know, it'd be nice to get a nice little gap and force one of the other guys into a third spot. So yeah, it is. I'm interested to see how Michael deals with this, because I always watch the races before the main race that we have today, and Michael wasn't as fast as these 2 guys in that race, and he's really piled it on this time. I don't know if he's changed his setup between the 2 races, but he's really got some speed. Going to be really interesting to see, because we know the car changes through the stint. It gets a little bit looser as the race goes on, so going to be really interesting to see how not so much Yuka and Paulie fight together, because I think they're quite even, but just how Michael's car is affected by the difference in the length of the stint.
De Turk did pop by before he got in the car here today and tell us that he put a little more wing in it because of the temperatures. But let's take a look at Dubois. This kind of started everything that wound up with him eventually wrecking later in the lap. And I believe it was contact. There it is. Ooh, that was a pretty big thunk. It was into the tires, which is a little softer, but that's why he's side by side here.
Yeah, that was a huge hit, wasn't it? I'm not sure the car would have been all right after that. It was quite an even hit between the front and the rear wheels, but even still, I mean, that was a hit. So it'd be interesting to see an onboard, maybe, see if we can get a look at his steering angle. But yeah, I don't know, Joe. just are we on board? No, we're on board with Chemo now, so we're chasing down Jordan still. So this is a good little battle, and yeah, pretty impressed with Jordan's pace today.
Yeah, he's held Viekainen behind him, and Raccoon Racing drivers are definitely known for their speed and their ferocity in their battling, usually in the Sunday Grand Prix series. So Gronkowski's going to have to do a lot to try and keep Viekainen behind him. So far, so good. Having started from 5th, he's up 1 position, but Viekainen is up 4, so he's really picked off a lot of them. I got to think that with him, I imagine behind Timothy Vaughn there at the start, maybe was able to avoid the mess there as they got off the line. But can he maybe make it one more? Not certainly with an exit like that out of the hairpin.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I was watching Jordan there, but then I just saw Chemo's exit as well. Just a look at the gap between Michael de Turk now and Jukka Tolan up the front. It did come down to 7/10, and that was in the bit of the meaty part of the track without tow. So Jukka's turning it on, Joe.
So here's the other question, though. Tolanen is ahead in the point standing, so he's where he needs to be ahead of Partanen right now on the track. Should he worry that much about trying to maximize the points and taking the win off the Turk, or should he just maybe stay patient as long as Partanen doesn't become a threat?
It all depends the size of his ego, doesn't it? I think, I always look at races like this where you think, oh God, I really want to win this, and sometimes the championship gets completely forgotten when you feel like you could actually go for a race win. So I'm not so sure. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if he comes in at the interview at the end, whatever position he's in. Let's find out.
The big difference here is that it's 6 points between 1st and 2nd, and it's 4 points between 2nd and 3rd. But Tolanen having already taken the 2 bonus points for the pole, he's made it 6 points, as long as Partanen doesn't get 2 bonus points for the fastest lap, which he could back off and try and do himself late in the race. They've all been very even on pace, so we'll keep an eye on that as we come back to battle farther in the pack with Freckleton, Reed, and Clapper. This is for 11th place right now. Clapper, who failed to set a lap time, and he tends to do that here in these vintage series, has gained 9 positions. He's done a great job of basically trying to pick his way through the back of the field here, and has been collecting them one by one. He's not the most. Xavier Sanchez has 10, so 1 quicker than him as we ride on board with Clapper out of the fountain section and into 4 and 5.
Yeah, just wondering if he actually drove as he. Whoa! Nicely saved there. I think he actually. Did you notice that Tim Reed just lost a bit of pace coming on the exit there? That's all it takes for the guy behind to just get a sniff of the blood, and what happens is your foot goes down a little bit too hard, and that's exactly what happened there. We're looking at. We're looking at Marco Flacco there. For a minute there, I thought we was on board with Deterk because they got the same paint, Joe.
Exactly. Well, and they do have teams in this. We aren't covering the teams championship this season because there's been a change on the car visually, and so a lot of the paints have kind of been messed up. So they decided, with the short amount of time they had to prepare, that they're just going to disregard coverage of the teams this season. But obviously, there are drivers that still kind of come together and band together out here. Michael de Turk, though, you can see in that Martini livery, still with the same livery on board. It's now 9/10 of a second over Tolanen, and I thought that maybe de Turk would have to try and hold him behind. I mean, is the aero wash bad enough that this is costing Tolanen this time, or is de Turk actually pulling away?
Yeah, I'm not so sure it's quite as big as you expected, Joe. I don't think the guys would be suffering that much. Again, look at Paulie's. Look, he's back down from 2 seconds now from Michael de Turk. So he's really struggling to keep up. So I'm wondering if Paulie's made a bad setup change in between the 2 races today. Again, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there, and really interesting to find out what happened if he does struggle for the rest of the race. But no, I think Yuka's going to be able to crawl back if he can. But Michael's really put it on today now in pace-wise. I mean, yeah, he was really struggling. I think he finished about a good sort of 4 or 5 seconds behind these guys in the earlier race. So this is really impressive. Are they catching up with someone backmarkers already, Joe? So this is what I was talking about. The cars with damage now are getting involved with this battle, and even if they get out of the way, it's, you know, it's still something that you have to look at, and it still takes your eye away from what you're normally looking at, like, you know, breaking points and apexes and this, that, and the other. So you can see now the gap is just come down a few tenths, down to 6 tenths there, as we just go back to the battle for 7th now with Peter Koneski.
Yeah, he's holding on in front of Flacker and Sanchez there. Xavier, a known streamer here on iRacing, goes by Hakey360, and he's going to try and see if he can get a little bit more screen time. Oh, but behind them, we had a change, or almost a change for position. Clapper and Reed went side by side, coming on a seaside way, and they're still wheel to wheel. No, he's going to duck back in. Reed loses the position as Clapper gets ahead for 12th.
Tolanen's right on the back of Michael Uturk, looking at the timing now. We haven't seen it on track yet, but here we go. We're on board now with Yuka as they go through the fountain. Just watch the curb here as we go round the right hand, and nicely done there by both the guys. Just stay off this curb on the right hand side, get all the way to the wall on the exit. See the shadow climbing up the wall there from Michael Uturk's back wheel. And this is that apex I was saying, Joe. It just seems to jump out and bite her. Michael giving it a massive wide berth there. But that exit line is the one I favour. I think that's a better exit line to take it wide there. But Yuka again, he's nicely round that right hander now, under the bridge as they go. And the gap back down to around 0.3 of a second. This is going to be interesting. We're going to have to stay on this because I think Yuka's going to be nice and close as they go down the front straight now. Just coming towards the end of the lap. Just watch Yuka's nice tight line as they go around the hairpin. Here we go. He's going to cut it off really tight as he does every lap. Gives him a nice run now. Michael's always fearing the worst. Look, Joe.
Yeah, he immediately went defensive. He's trying to cover this off and break that slipstream. Tolanen's pulling him in. Deturk drifting off to the left-hand side. Yuka off to the right as they break for turn 1, and he can't get the overlap into that one. He'll wait for later, but Michael feeling the pressure for the first time in a while. I think essentially since the first couple laps when we saw him do the same defense. So is this now starting to swing back in the number 3's favor? Is the car coming good?
Absolutely, and I think the other guy who's getting a nice result out of this is obviously Paulie behind, so I'm not sure Yuka's going to want to wait now behind Michael. I think this battle's on, Joe. I think Yuka's going to want to get this done as quick as he can because he's not going to want Paulie on his gearbox. That's his worst case scenario. So yeah, a little bit too far back now for this lap, but yeah, that's where the pass is on because Yuka has got this exit out of this hairpin nailed so nicely. Just watch the difference between Michael now. Michael let it run out wide there on the exit. Yuka just holds it in tight. And again, Paulie, you see Paulie running that wide line. Now you'd expect, I mean, Paulie's going to know that Yuka's getting a good drive off the hairpin there as they come off the corner. Maybe he might try it, but I think I'm right in saying Yuka's running this lower first gear, so it might not be an option for the other two guys.
The other thing that I wonder about is Deturk, if it is as he said and told us before he went to the grid that he's going to crank just a little bit more wing in it, that's got to make it very tough to keep Tolanen behind, and has been kind of impressive that he hasn't been gobbled up on that front stretch because it seems like Tolanen does have pretty good straight line speed here, but maybe it comes down to what you've been harping on, Mick, that Michael coming out of that hairpin just has the car set up that little bit better for corner exit.
Yeah, and it's all relative as well, isn't it, Joe? I mean, Michael's saying he put a bit more wing on. Maybe he didn't have enough in the last race because he was struggling for pace. Not sure what he was like down the front straight, but he could have been a lot faster than the guys down the front straight in the earlier race. So maybe there's a bit of that going on. But yeah, Michael doesn't seem too slow down the front straight as we... Oh, Yuka. A bit too much throttle there as he came out, and Paulie's a little bit too far behind now to capitalise, but here we go side by side. Ooh. This is Marco Flacker again, so yeah, lovely little run. Wow, take it all the way around the outside. That's how you do that, Joe.
And to the inside, but can he get the car to steer in? Oh, and another position gone as Konechny gets elbowed out of the way by Sanchez. It is a street fight out here, and Xavier's taking no prisoners. In fact, he might get 2 because he's now got the slipstream on Marco as he comes down the front stretch. Late defense there from Flacker. Then he opens it right back up, and Sanchez tries to get to the inside, but he cannot outbrake him. So 2 positions change there in just a couple corners. And so fierce racing is there, taking it deep into the fountain, but keep it out of the wall.
Wow, Flacker's on fire, isn't he, Joe? That move around the outside on the way into the hairpin was just unbelievable. Move of the season for me, that was so far. Yeah, this is such a great fight now. I was just watching Sanchez seem to back up, but I was going to say when Flacker decided to take the outside line into turn 1, probably benefited him there. It's quite tough to get the power down on the inside line there. So, yeah, what a great move that was, round the outside. I've never seen that before.
I mean, very clever. It gave him the inside of the hairpin, and usually that means that you're going to really struggle. But, man, I guess the fact that Sanchez made the move on Konechny kind of saved him there, and it all worked out in the end as they cut back to the scene of the action and come out of the corner. No change this time between the 3 of them, but it does look like Sanchez has another chance with the slipstream. Let's stick with this. I think Marco's got to go defensive again.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to have to go defensive. Looks Sanchez has got some good speed down the straight, hasn't he, Joe? I think there's a little bit of a difference there in the wing settings, maybe. Sanchez backs out of it. Wasn't as close as I thought there at the end of the straight. Just look how tight this is around this. Oh, he's lost the back end again as he goes around the fountain. Oh man, he's really on the limit there, Flacker, trying to get away from Sanchez there. This is such a brilliant drive. Oh, and he spun it wide. No.
All that hard work gone away.
Oh man.
And that was all his own doing there.
I think it was me as well. Sorry there. Sorry about that, Mr. Flacker.
I mean, he had already heated up the tires coming into the hairpin, if it makes you feel any better. Or
yes, it does,
into the fountain, rather. So, I think it was kind of coming along if he kept abusing the rears, and then out of turn 5, he just lit it up a little too hard. So he loses about 3 seconds. I mean, it was a full 360, and he's back going once again. So he didn't lose all that much time as we come back to the battle for the lead. Still 1.1 second separating first to third for these drivers with 12 to go as they come out of turn 5, and look at the slide from Parton in there,
wow,
leaving just a trail of tires on the surface of the track. And still he doesn't hit the wall. And we've had a wreck for Sanchez into turn 1. Sanchez facing the wrong way into Toyota. I don't know if he had help, but he gets it back on the circuit. Oh, it's all unfolding.
Yeah, it looks like he's got a nice chunk of damage on the back of that car now as well. That wing's all kinds of shapes. So yeah, just watching it myself now. Yeah, he just dived in well too late there, didn't he? But completely backed out of it, didn't he? Actually try and turn in there at the end of it.
He backed it up. Yeah.
Oh, that's what he
slammed.
Okay, right.
He slammed the gearbox into the wall. That's going to hurt him, as well as bending up the wing because of it. So he's down to 10th. Actually, that means that Flacker gets that position back from him, and he's back into 8th. So nicely done to him. But now, down the front stretch, let's stay with Sanchez. I think this is going to be a nightmare scenario because Jason Clapper, Freckleton, Reed are all lined up behind him.
Yeah, just watching these guys now. Just watching Jason Clapper. Let's just watch Sanchez's top speed now because it's going to be abysmal. Saying that, I just think Jason's just slightly too far behind to try and make a move. Just as a look, just to show Sanchez that he's there. But Sanchez is not going to fall for any of that business. But I think next lap, Joe, it's going to be all on, isn't it?
Xavier's had a lot of experience in pretty much all 3 of the vintage cars here on iRacing. Well, I say all 3. We've got 4 now with the 87 Cup cars. But on the road side of things, we see him here frequently. And he managed it well, but will he be able to do that for 11 more laps here, considering he's going to have to try and defend each and every time, most likely, unless he can actually pull away as we come back to Tolinen. Ooh, a little bit of a look now, trying to get into the head of Michael de Turk, but de Turk is unswayed.
Yeah, nice little run down there as they go through the fountain again. They have to be so tight now, and this is where it is. I mean, for me, that first part of the lap is all completely technical, Joe. Once they get round this corner, round the left-hander, where I keep saying about this apex curve, this apex wall rather is a nightmare. It is so easy to hit the car there and the entry and the left-hander. This is where it just starts getting a little bit easier for me. You can see a nice red and white on the floor as they run over that as they go down the right-hander again. Michael's feeling the need to just move to the inside of the line of the track, maybe down the middle, just to upset the wind going over Yuka's car there. But yeah, it's quite an easy section this is now to actually get right. It's just that first part around the fountain that it's an absolute nightmare. So let's watch again as Yuka comes out nice and tight again as he comes out onto the front straight. Michael moving down to the middle of the track again to try and just break that toe. Let's just have a check on Paulie. Paulie's quite far behind these two now in relative terms, but Yuka's are still too far back to make a move. So yeah, let's just see how this plays out, Joe. Yeah, no mistakes from Michael so far. Let's not commentators curse him either.
Still has to make 9 more out here, and it's clear that the pressure is now starting to pile on. Boy, he's opening up the corners everywhere he can, and this time he's opened it up too much. I think he brushed the wall on the way in, actually, and that's what made him go wide down through turn 5. Tolanen's going to be that little bit closer as we hop on and look over the rear wing at Yuka.
Yeah, I think you was absolutely right there, Joe. I think he did actually hit the wall on the way in. It just opened the car out, didn't he? He had all sorts of trouble trying to get around the turn and miss the apex wall as well. So Yuka's got a nice run now down the back straight. Into the right-hander we go. Looked like Michael's a little bit wide there on the entry. And again, you're going to see Yuka's car dart to the inside now as they hit the hairpin. Tight line again, as always. In fact, Yuka was a little bit wide there in comparison to whatever he's been doing all the last few laps. Back marker gets out the way nicely for the guys, and Paulie's going to make it through there nicely, so well done to him. And down the front straight again, we're not going to get nowhere near a pass made by any of them. Interesting to note, Joe, Paulie fastest lap of the race there. Points involved.
And I think the reason why Yuka didn't get a good exit, he actually made contact with the rear of Deturk coming through the hairpin. He was that close to him. This time a little bit better down through turn 5 as they all swing out through there. There's another lapped car coming up, Daniel Gallus, in about probably within the next lap. And this is going to be the problem that you mentioned earlier in the race, having to deal with that. The good news is, after Gallus, it's a long stretch to the next car unless somebody has some sort of spin or something. So hopefully it'll be the last he has to deal with until the end of the race.
Yeah, I'm just looking at where the back marker is in front. They're not going to catch him on the front straight. He's too far ahead, but maybe worst case scenario for Michael Deturk, catch him as they enter the turn 1 section and round the fountain. It's going to be a nightmare if they catch him there. Might not happen. He looks like he's a little bit too far ahead for that. And Michael's doing well coming out the hairpin. Last couple of laps, he's had a real good drive coming out there. So Yuka's having a bit of trouble coming out and trying to match him for pace. Yuka does seem to be a little bit faster than him around the whole lap in general to me, but yeah, Michael's doing it. He's doing it nicely coming out of that hairpin. Nice bit of grip coming out there.
Bad news for Tolanen is Partanen has the fastest lap right now at a 1:10.4, so about 2/10 quicker than Tolanen and Deturk currently. So he'll get those 2 bonus points if it stays as is, and get it down to only a 4-point gain for Tolanen once again. And again, he's still ahead in the points already coming into this, so it's not dire, but I'm sure he'd love to try and widen that gap as far as he can to try and take fate into his own hands. We're going to ride on board here to watch and see what it looks like, how close he gets this time into the hairpin.
Yeah, just another thing to note about the fastest lap, Joe. Paulie's got the advantage there, hasn't he? Because Yuka can't exactly slow down away from Michael there to try and go for a fastest lap, because he's going to be all in the clutches of Paulie behind him. So that's a weird little situation that Yuka finds himself in now.
Love these onboards now as Zui gets mighty close. He could try and be aggressive and send it into turn 1. No, he's not able to get there. But I was going to say, love these onboards now because, as I mentioned, the car has gotten a refresh from iRacing. It's been called for by the community for a long time, and they've been extremely grateful because it looks spectacular now with the new graphics that they have all inside and out of this car.
Yeah, it really does. Even looking at the chrome mirrors there, and even looking at the rear wing in the mirrors, that's something that we never saw before from the car. So yeah, they have done a really good job updating this car. My favourite part of that update is the white letters on the tyres. I think they've really nailed that look. It just looks brilliant the way that spins up and doubles back on itself like it does in real life. You could try. He's a little bit far away, isn't he, Joe, this time by? So Gonna see how he goes round, see how the three of them go around the hairpin. Wide line for Michael there. I think, yeah, that's tough there, isn't it? So Yuka's still going for this tight line, but I think Michael's sort of getting a bit of an advantage because he's going in really wide and coming out nice and tight now.
Yuka's rear end kicked out big time, and I'm amazed he's as close as he is, honestly. We're down to 5 to go now, but he's pushing. I think Yuka's starting to get a little bit desperate, maybe getting too eager on that throttle, and is starting to abuse those rear tires at times. Will that come back to hurt him? Because we've already seen at least one driver wind up overheating them and wind up in a spin.
Yeah, absolutely. They're all three of them are just a mistake away from bidding this badly, aren't they, Joe? I mean, these guys are absolutely on the limit of this car now around this track, and these walls tend to jump out at people, especially in turn one, especially around that fountain area. But yeah, as we go down the back straight now, again, Michael again just moving to the middle of the track just to lose that draft, even for a split second. You know, psychologically it helps him in his own mind there as they go down the back straight and around the right-hander. Again, let's have a look at this line now as they go through the hairpin. Yuka always changes down to first nice and early here, so he gets a nice little rotation going on as they go round the hairpin. As they go down the front straight now, again though, Michael gets a nice drive, but does Yuka look like he's a little bit closer than last time by? I'm not so sure, Joe. I don't think he's going to be able to make any moves down. He has a little look, but no, I don't think it's going to happen now.
Yeah, he's going to have to get closer to be able to get any sort of overlap into the corner. And we've seen him do it a couple times, but is he starting to run out of tire here at the end? Now 4 to go. Also, one sort of surprising thing is, yes, we've had some attrition here, but it was pretty much all due to that start incident. We've lost Dubois since, and it looks like Keith Herner has been the latest victim. Maybe about 8 laps ago, we had an incident that we missed. But Mosquera's gotten back out, so we've got 16 of our 22 starters that are still rolling, and not really many have fallen victim to this track since the opening incident.
Yeah, top split as well, isn't it, Joe? Worth mentioning. The guys know what they're doing. Just a few little mistakes. Horrendous one off the start line there for the guys. But again, I'm watching this line. Michael's really nailed it. I'm actually quite impressed with Michael now. He's done this for the last 3 or 4 laps. To look in the mirror, I'm praying that he has a good finish here and comes in for an interview. I'm going to ask him about watching Yuka behind him coming out the hairpin, because it actually looks to me like he's actually learnt Yuka's line there and adjusted himself to be able to stop this pass attempt from Yuka. And now, what we got now? 2 laps to go, Joe. This is all ready to flare up now, isn't it? Look how close these guys are.
Trying to find all-time wins for Tolan, and I think this is the first season he's actually had them, if I'm seeing correctly, because he's not showing up on the wins, and I know he's had some this season. So this is actually just as important between Yuka and the Turk, whereas Partanen has had 15 so far, so he's really racked them up. But Yuka and Michael, it's always so much more important when you have so few wins. It's so rare that you get to celebrate in that way. So Yuka and Michael, actually Michael might have more wins than Yuka in that case.
Yeah, I was wondering that myself when you said it. I know Yuka's first win this season came at Watkins Glen, where he actually said in the interview that this was the first time he's actually practiced hard. And he came off that, of like seasons from hell. He's just had so much bad luck being taken out and all sorts of bad luck he's had during races. But since he made that win and really started practicing, he's really piled it on, and in some cases he has been the fastest car on the track. I think out of the 3 of them today, he is the fastest guy. He's just got Michael solid as a rock, the Turk in front of him.
Yep, and that is correct. 2 wins this season for Tolanen so far. You mentioned Watkins Glen. He also took one at Oulton Park as well. The Turk on 3 wins, trying to make it 4. And despite not having a championship, the Turk is outgunning Yuka on wins here, and is going to double his at this rate. We're going to get the white flag with 1 to go. The question is, can he manage to keep ahead? Because this is going to be the best opportunity for Yuka right here. He needs to nail this exit.
Oh, he locked up just going into the hairpin there. And I just noticed actually on the left front he locked up. So he lost a bit of momentum there going through the through the hairpin, and now he's not going to be anywhere near. No, I don't think he's going to be. He might have a little look like he does, but yeah, he's still a couple of car lengths back. So it's all going to be the rest of the lap, Joe. Let's see how this one goes, because this is pressure, unbelievable amounts for Michael now.
Yeah, it came down to about 2 car lengths between Tolanen and Turk under braking there into turn 1. He took a little bit of a peek, but I think he knew that wasn't close enough. And Partanen has closed in the gap as well. I think Bartfai just got passed by Sanchez a little bit farther back in the field. We'll touch on that a little bit later. That gives Sanchez 9th position. As we come onto the backstretch, onto Seaside Way, De Turk starts to look a little bit more clear. It's up to 0.5 of a second now. He's doing what he needs to do. He just has to be calm and collected here through this last part of the lap. It's going to be tough to try and out-drag him to the line if you're Tolanen. So I think as long as De Turk is smooth on the throttle, and he is, Michael De Turk is going to take yet another win. It is one of his specialty tracks here at Long Beach.
Yeah, well done, Michael. Watch out for Paulie, fastest lap. Is he going to get it? Because I know he's gone for that. He dropped back. He does get it. That's important, Joe. Just behind these guys, I was just watching Kimo Virkine and Jordan Krongowski. I'm not sure what's happened there. I think we're looking at Thomas Barfly of all people there. So
he's hit the wall. He's had an incident, so that's why he's crabbing badly, and he's just trying to crawl to the finish.
Yeah, he's got a long way to go, hasn't he?
Yeah, he does indeed. As big gains here for Sanchez, up 10. Jason Clapper up 12 as it stands right now. So nice job to the number 20 here at the end of the race. He's just chasing Jana Lehman, who's a lap down, so that's not for position as they cross the line. And that's going to take us to a quick break. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews after this.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to ride around the world.
I'm Mick Claridge, and I'm going to ride around the world on my bike. My son, he gave me advice at the start of this ride, and he looked at me and just said, "Dad, don't be a moron."
Let me do my animal signal to gain their respect.
How's it going, Sally? Yeah, I'm alright, Mick. How's it going? Worse than that bit in Lord of the Rings, where they go into the top and the spiders in the tunnel. I'm just hoping there's a spider at the top of this one to kill me.
Freezing.
And I failed. I moroned up the ride.
Welcome back to Long Beach as we watch a bit of a messy start here for today's race, round 10 of the Sunday Grand Prix series. It was Michael De Turk who was not messy at all, taking the lead at the very beginning and not relinquishing it for the entire race for his 4th ever win. By the way, his other 2, Monza Combined and VIR. He loves those crazy tracks where anything can happen. Tolanen still took 2nd and beat his rival for points today as Partanen took the fastest lap, so there's only going to be 4 points gained on Tolanen over Partanen. For that one. Gronkowski, just outside of the podium, finished 4th ahead of Viekainen. He played defense on him all day long as well, but Viekainen gained 4 spots to get that top 5. Gernot Friesche wound up 6th with a bit of a quiet race for him. Marco Flacker was 7th today. Sanchez with a couple problems here and there. Had to settle for 8th as he climbed up from the back of the field anyways. Peter Konieczny was 9th, and as I mentioned earlier, Jason Clapper up 12 positions to wind up 10th. Mick.
Absolutely great. Just great stuff, Michael. Tim Reed there, I saw him in the battle at the end there. Just finishes in 11th. He had a good battle with a few guys today. It's interesting to watch that. I always like watching Tim. He's always on the limit of his car. Thomas Barfly, just watching him at the end of the race there, crabbing all over the track, just trying to get it finished, and he finishes in 12th, which is unbelievable. Dylan Freckleton there, 1 lap down in 13th. Daniel Guys in 14th, and Jan Limman, just saw him come over the finish line at the end just before we went to the break. He finishes in 15th. Javier Mosquera in 16th. Keith Hearn 17th. Christopher Dubois had a terrible race there in the end, didn't he, in 18th. Barry West, not sure what happened to him. Maybe coming in for you and tell us, not sure. Stephen Place in top 20.
21st was Fernandez and 22nd was Vaughn, both being caught up in that little schmozzle at the start of the race. But we've got Michael DeTurk ready to talk to us. And he didn't get away completely clean. He had 2 incidents throughout. Not sure where he gathered those up, but at least once we saw you brush the wall down in turn 5, Michael. So it seemed that you did have to push to try and keep Tolinen behind you.
Yuka and Paulie are too fast. I mean, they slaughtered me in the pre-broadcast race by like 6 seconds, and I accused them of sandbagging. The 2X was from the celebratory donuts at the end.
So that explains it. But let's talk about that start. You managed to get off the line and get the lead away. We heard you talking about maybe trying to do some things with the gearing and the downforce to see if that'll help you either with the weather or coming off of the hairpin and things. Did you do anything special for the car for that start that helped you get that lead?
I had a really short first gear, but it was actually the same first gear that I put in the set that I released to the community earlier in the week. So it's kind of a rocket ship off the line. You just have to be really careful as you engage second gear, because unlike every other Lotus set that we ever do, you can actually get wheel spin into second here, especially with a little bit of camber on that front straight. So it's tricky to get it into second gear, but it really, really shoots off the line hard.
Well, crazy stuff. This is such a wild track to see these things race at. But as we mentioned, Long Beach, Monza Combine, and VIR, now the tracks that you've claimed victory. This is perhaps one of the rare instances that I can relate or compare myself to you. Sometimes it pays to be a safe pair of hands. Do you think that's maybe your strength and why you're winning at these tracks where things can be a little bit rough?
Maybe. I mean, I'm kind of the bottom end of the fast scale, the upper end of the quick scale. You know, I'm not like Timo or Yuka or Paulie where, you know, it's just you look at them and go, or Tomasz or Andy when they show up and you go, how? What? There's 6/10. We're on the same set. I don't know where that is. So yes, I would say maybe being a safe pair of hands is helpful. But at Long Beach is kind of that track for me where if I'm bored in the middle of the night and I can't sleep, I load up Long Beach and do laps because I'm an idiot. So that probably helps a lot too. I probably have more laps here than I have anywhere else.
Well, you don't seem like an idiot today after doing that. Congratulations on win number 4. You now have twice the wins that Yuka Tolinen has. So hopefully we'll get to talk to you some more in the future.
Well, it's twice the wins. If you look at the old stats, admittedly, that stats thread I haven't updated, and Yuka's won a lot this season. So,
well, that's I think he's only won 2 this season. So I think that's the first ones he's had. I do believe that's accurate. Yeah.
Sorry, Joe, that's my fault. I think you're probably right there. So
yeah, it's okay. For once, I took that into account. But that's Michael DeTurk, our winner here today. As up next, second place, Mick has caught up with Yuka Tolinen, and let's see what his perspective is, having to try and chase Michael all race.
Hi, Yuka. Thanks for coming in. Well done today. We just watched the replay of the start there, and it looked like you just was forced onto the outside of the track there, outside line as you went through into turn 1. And it's really hard to do that. Michael was so strong, wasn't he, on the apex there? And just looking at your brake zones and that's that on the limit into turn 1 there at the start. Just give us a insight to that start.
Yeah, well, firstly, beating the street circuit Rocketman Michael in qualifying is really an achievement. I would say it's little bit of a magic trick from me, as I don't even like this track too much, and I said last week that this is kind of weak track for me, so I was really happy with that. And well, I knew that Michael has the best starts on the grid, so he's really strong with the starts, and I did a choice with the gearing. I knew that Michael would get better start, but I didn't want to risk it completely, since I saw the gearing early in the week, and I was only doing a burnout on the grid, so that would have been a disaster for me. So I was definitely taking it more safely and trying to hang there, but wasn't able. Michael was just too far in front of me, or I guess we were pretty much side by side, but Michael was just with better line there. So yeah, of course I was mostly thinking about Pauli, so I was able to keep Pauli behind, so I didn't want to take too much risk trying to win Michael, since Michael cannot really win the championship anymore. So yeah, and also I don't know, I would have some kind of connection issues probably, since Michael's car was behaving pretty weirdly at some moments, and also same was with Pauli in the previous race. So I saw Pauli going on two wheels occasionally, so that was scary. So I was kind of trying to keep some safety margin to not get any nasty net codes. So yeah.
Oh, okay, right. So we didn't see any of that on the broadcast. So yeah, obviously your end there. So yeah, okay. So that was a pretty sensible race then, really, for you. One thing I wanted to ask you, I was really impressed. I watched the earlier race, and you carried it on into this race as well. I just wanted to chat about your line coming out of the hairpin. You were so tight coming out of the hairpin, and you were so strong because of it. I actually thought that you may be using a lower first gear than the guys around you. But just talk about that coming out of that hairpin like that real tight line. I was really impressed with that.
It's a horrible corner.
Yeah.
I had to practice that a lot, and I was surprised that it really seems that I was fastest there. So Pauli said in the previous race that he was really struggling compared to me, and that seemed to be true. So I don't even know. I was just trying million different lines there, and eventually found something that worked. And I must say, I think it was not similar all of the laps, so it was a little bit of improvising, since the rear of the car tends to get loose on the previous left-hander, and then you kind of flick it into the last corner. So I was joking with Pauli that we are doing little Scandi flicks there, but yeah, it's also a little bit scary as I was going so close to the inside wall that, well, in the previous race I actually once hit the inside wall with my rear tire, so that would have been also really bad.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't actually remember if it's Spa or Road America. I know it's one of the two next week. How do you feel about next week's track?
Well, somehow I haven't raced Spa with Lotus 79 many times. Actually, I think it's only once. But I used to like the track. I guess it fits me at least better than this one. Same with Road America. So yeah, it will be really tight season ending between me and Pauli. Let's see who wins. It will be incredible.
Yeah, the pressure's on, mate. The pressure's on. Listen, before you go, you want to say thanks to anyone?
Yeah, Pauli, of course. Congrats, Michael, winning. That was kind of expected. Well done doing that. And Kimmo was also practicing with me this week, as Pauli was not racing that much this week during the evenings. So I had at least somebody to practice with, and yeah, you guys for the broadcast and the community as well. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Yuka. Thanks for coming in. Congratulations on the second, mate. I think we caught up with Paulie, haven't we, Joe?
We have indeed third place finisher here today, and kind of the fly in the ointment in that whole battle for the lead, because Pauli, you were always hovering, but there were times where it seemed like you started to drop back. Was that you just giving them space, or were you struggling to keep up with them?
Yeah, I was struggling to keep up with them. I think those two had better pace than me this week, so I was really struggling there. But during the race, I think I got a bit better. I got a bit better pace, and at the end of the race, I think I found a good rhythm for this track. But it was a bit too late for it, honestly. But yeah, it was a good race. I'm very happy.
Also, it seemed like you were trying to minimize the damage as best you could, because while you didn't take the 2 bonus points for the pole, you did take the 2 bonus points for the fastest lap, from what we can tell.
Yeah.
Was that intentional there on the last lap?
Yeah, for sure. I was trying to take it a bit easy on the previous 2 laps, just to cool down the tires a bit, and then I decided I will push like all I got to the last lap, and because I needed that fastest lap, I really needed, because Jukka was getting away in the points way too much. But I think those 2 points will be important at the last race, so it was intentional for real.
Well, I think by my estimations then, unless drop weeks change it, you're only 26 behind him, and there's 2 rounds to go. So an average of outscoring him by 13 points each. Spa's going to be up first, and then it'll end with Road America. Are those 2 tracks where, even though Jukka says he tends to be strong there, that you think you can take the fight to him?
Honestly, I think Jukka will be faster there. He practices very much right now, and he has full focus to win the championship, and he's super fast, and usually at that kind of tracks Jukka is faster than me, so I think it will be a very hard challenge, but I will try my best there.
Well, it seemed like you were still trying your best here today regardless, and it was an impressive race, you 3 running away from everybody. Anybody you want to shout out before you go?
Big thanks to Jukka. We have fun this week with practicing, and thanks to Michael. That was actually a very good race from Michael. I think he didn't make a single bad mistake, and I knew he is fast here, but that was a very impressive drive from him. And thanks to Michael also, and thanks to you guys, great broadcasters as always.
Thank you. And that was third place finisher Pauli Partanen. We didn't get to show as much of the battle for fourth, but Mick has caught up with Jordan Gronkowski, who held back Viekainen.
Yeah, hi Jordan. Welcome to the booth. So what I do every morning on broadcast day is I go and have a look at the practice time sheets in the world record pages on iRacing. And I've been raving about you all season, really. I don't know if you've watched the broadcast races past, and I've been saying, yeah, this guy Jordan, yeah, you got to watch out for this guy because, and today I looked at the sheets and your name was right up there. So I'm not surprised you got a good race today and finished fourth. So just tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, well, thanks very much, Mick. I've heard some of the kind things you've said about me, so really appreciate that. And yeah, no, I don't usually pop in for an interview unless I'm on the podium, because that's the way it worked in real life. So I totally respect that. But I suspect this may be the best result I'm going to have in this car, so I thought I'd come in just to say hi. But no, absolutely, really happy with the race today, with the pace of the car, and I'm still struggling really with, especially late on in the race with these cars. Obviously, as you guys have covered lots in the broadcast, the balance changes so much through the race, and everyone else seems to get a lot faster than I do. When I'm trying to, adjust roll bars and things later in the race, I just can't seem to get the extra pace. But no, this car circuit combination this week, I've absolutely loved it. It's just, I've never properly raced a street circuit in a sim, and it really kind of focuses the mind a lot more. So absolutely, really loved it today, and just happy to come away with P4. Yeah.
Just give us a quick insight, if you could, about your start procedure for this car, because a lot of guys are using a whole lot of things to get this car off the line. Just give us your insight, because I watched you do a couple of practice starts, and like I keep saying, this guy's doing it the hardcore way. So just give us what do you actually do?
So, anyone who's interested, they can obviously go to the YouTube page and see the setup here. But when I started sim racing, obviously after retiring the end of last year, my aim, but one of the things I really wanted to get from the rig was the experience of driving classic cars. So the Lotus 49, obviously, and then the 79. So I'm determined to do things as it would be in the real car, if that makes sense. So, obviously, if I was coming in trying to be as competitive as possible, I would use, the double clutches or whatever. But no, I just use the clutch pedal, the single clutch pedal. But I have to say, today I finally got a good start. I was playing about with some of the settings and the clutch pedal itself to get a bit more of a linear response from it, and I seem to be not terrible at starts now, which is good, because I apologise to everyone who has been behind me in previous races, because I've been a bit of a mobile chicane off the line, but I actually got a good start today and made a place. But no, the start with procedure-wise, I've just got, as I did in the Formula Ford, and as this car had in real life, just the clutch pedal. So again, the process seems to be to, find, just through muscle memory, find where the ideal bike point is, and then dump it to that point with your left foot, and then try and keep the revs up as the car comes away, and obviously blend off one and blend in the other. Again, very much like I did in the Formula Ford in real life at the starts. I have to say, in real life, were never my strongest point. But yeah, no, I just want to try and be true to where the car is. So the H part, and I'm even using the kind of dog leg layout this car had in real life, so the gears are kind of backwards a little bit to my mind. I was surprised how quickly I kind of picked that up, and especially somewhere like here, but I suppose everywhere there's a long straight in the 79, because of the downforce, the speed of down changing and coming down to the gears is just mental. I mean, I was obviously used to driving the Lotus 49 where you haven't got the downforce and your down changes are quick, but it's doable. But in this thing, you just got to smash down through the gearbox in one missed gear, obviously, as I did in my live stream on Thursday. I put it in the wall because I drifted into turn 1 in neutral. And yeah, it's just such a challenge. But again, I finished the race. I'm sweating, I'm knackered. I feel like I have actually thrown a Lotus 79 around Long Beach for 30 laps. So it's so rewarding. So I love it.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Listen, we got to close up. We're under time limit here. So thanks for coming in, Jordan. I wanted to ask you loads and loads of stuff, but hopefully you're coming again.
No worries. I'll hopefully have a decent couple of races at the end of the year and speak to you guys again. That'd be good. Thanks very much for everything.
Yeah, cheers, guys. So that's Jordan, the guy that's got his name on the same cup as Jim Clark, Joe.
Exactly. And I wish I could claim the same, but not nearly as talented. But we do want to close up, and we, of course, want to thank the Lotus 79 community for bringing us back for another season of coverage, and also to the team today, Mick, Ryan, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, our website, and our merchandise store. We've got links in the description below. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. The next race, as we mentioned, will be Spa. So that's Sunday, November 27th at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. But be sure to check out our other broadcasts listed here, including the Absolute Beginners League, which will be at Zandvoort at 2 p.m. Eastern today. Until next time, though, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.